What is good is Jack the Clueless Brit, and today we're going to be checking out the how dare you start without me giving permission, how dare you, the Haters Guide to the 2022 NFL Season Debriefing. And I think this is the perfect video. The Super Bowl is tomorrow. It's very late for me, it's like midnight I think, or something like it starts, so I'm hoping I can stay up and watch it. But, you know, like I said, I don't really know much about the teams. We are on the journey trying to find my team. I've just recorded the next couple videos for that. So the list is different to the last one. But I thought this is the perfect way to kind of integrate myself, see what happened last season, and get prepared for the 2023 NFL season, which I'm really looking forward to. Let's go.
By DraftKings. In the age of professional football, two teams are about ready to fight for the ultimate prize. However, there are many that didn't even get the chance to play in the postseason. Their fan bases may be in many states of being, but they all have one thing in common. They can help themselves to the fruits of DraftKings. In celebration of the big game, here's an offer you can't refuse. Bet just $5 on the match and receive $200 in bonus bets instantly. The choices are endless. Not just point spreads and money lines. Same game parlays for that extra bit of pressure. Perhaps I feel that Philly will score the first touchdown.
I know this ain't
Kansas
fantasy,
City
but
will be the first team to get 100 passing
doing
yards.
fantasy football, I'm going to have to do next year. This year, but next season.
It's available for the stakes. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, no pressure. DraftKings offers daily fantasy contests to help you flex your skills and savvy. Now you know the play call is easy to decipher. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code UTREE. Bet $5 on the big game and get $200 in bonus bets.
I mean,
instantly.
I'm probably going to edit this out. If you're seeing this, it's because I was lazy as shit.
Only available at DraftKings Sportsbook. The teams that missed the playoffs could use it. It's been a long road for them so far.
But I like this guy a lot, so I'll have his app play.
Team offense in the NFL. And New England was the poster child of it. Bill Belichick apparently watched endless film from the 1940s over the offseason. During this binge, he came to an epiphany. Instead of putting competent people in charge of my offense, why not get two stooges who have no experience control it? Something everyone saw coming from a mile away. Matt Patricia and Joe Judge ran a unit so offensive that the SPLC would call it a hate group, running into themselves featuring their main formation of Mac Jones rotting away under center. Fans clamoring for Bailey Zappi at every turn. Predictably massive regression. And any winning was done only if the defense could move mountains. To no one's surprise, Patricia's been relegated to the back closet. Hopefully for good. In an effort to maintain the cronyism on display in Hoodie Land, Bill O'Brien is back in the saddle. The sad thing is that it's a massive upgrade over what they had. Anything better than what happened against the Raiders.
Well, no, they went...
In one play, they brought joy to everyone that had been under their heel for decades. It still baffles the mind.
We saw that in the Raiders video I just done. So that won't be out for probably another week, but it was pretty crazy. I'm not going to pause after every team. I don't want to pause it too many times, but when we did that Tom Brady video on the day he announced his retirement, I kind of thought, right, I didn't really know much about him. I'll check out his highlights. And a lot of I said from that I couldn't really see why he was the GOAT. And a few comments were a bit like, try to give me some shit for it, but this ain't my sport yet. I'm loving it, but it ain't my sport yet. So, but anyway, that's by the by. Look. But they were saying, look how bad New England have been, the Patriots have been since he's gone. And I looking at some of the highlights, he was the glue, obviously.
That this year was not vintage Jets. You'll point to their solid coaching and excellent defense.
Well, I always had the Jets were awful.
And you'd be correct. Point to injuries destroying the team whenever they gained any sort of momentum. They had a 6-3 record at one point. It may have been fluky as all hell, but it's the best season they've seen in a long time. Then you get to the quarterback position. The curse must continue. Zach Wilson only knows how to assert himself with milfs. On the field of play, he's fucking terrible. Off the field, he's immature and doesn't know how to lead, whiffing on softball questions and throws alike. I saw more out of 3 weeks of Mike White than I ever have out of Wilson. It's that bad.
So 7 and 8 again. 7 and 9. Is that bad?
While they speak lip service to supporting Zach, we all know it's back to square one.
At least you won some games.
So yes, this season was indeed very, very Jets.
Well, at that
point,
they were 7 and 4. So
Michael LaFleur was told by Brass to run back to Sean McVay and Rams' house. So your new offensive coordinator is, wait for it, Nathaniel Hackett. Brett Favre walked so Aaron Rodgers could run. Don't go to the Raiders. You cannot escape a date with destiny, Aaron.
So see, these names mean nothing to me yet.
Dick pic set in a pair of rocks.
One day I'll get it.
So Cleveland, are you sure quarterback was the main issue on the team? Because if this season has told me anything, you created a problem that wasn't there.
Even I
was
could do better
supposed
than
to
that.
be the key to your salvation. He would unlock the potential of this team and lead them to the promised land like Moses through the desert. Here's the issue. Jacoby Brissett did well when Watson was gone. The concerns lie elsewhere, mainly in that supposed defense of theirs.
If you are a fan, obviously, of whatever team you are a fan of, let me know a little bit about your team.
So you say getting
that I want to learn more. You know, we are checking out the teams in my Exploring the NFL season
that bad, right?
series.
I'd agree if it weren't for Deshaun himself.
They're only like 3-4 minute highlight videos, so I'm learning more about the team from your guys' comments than anything.
You guaranteed this man $230 million, yet any victories Cleveland had were in spite of Watson. I'm going to say it louder for those in the back. Was quarterback really the main issue last offseason? You found your supposed franchise guy, but at what cost? Your dick.
Just showing interceptions.
Fluke 9-win seasons are the modern answer to the Steelers going to the Super Bowl. Don't shoot for excellence, but for stability. Tradition and loyalty are the keys to happiness. Ignore that there are major issues in team coaching and the defense is useless without a healthy TJ Watt. They'll just blame injuries for this season instead of the real concern. Winnable games you find ways to piss away. There were at least 6 of them throughout the year, and it cost them any hope with a 3-7 start. All signs point to the Tomlin narrative ending, right? Nope, that has to continue on. There is some promise here. Kenny Pickett looked more and more confident as the season progressed, which is the perfect reason to keep the guy who's consistently held back the offense all season. Why is Matt Canada still here? Any improvements the offense made in the second half were in spite of him. Most of those big drives were in the 2-minute drill with Pickett calling the shots. You're keeping a guy that didn't implement hot routes in the offense. It's ass backwards
all
shit
these
like
words
this that has
mean
this
nothing
team
to me at
driving
the
up a
moment.
wall. They are in football hell right now. That cannot be denied. Hopefully Pickett can keep improving, but if not, well, they can always sign Taylor Lewan and draft Joey Porter Jr. They're totally gonna do it too, just you watch. Even in tanking, the Texans find ways to fuck everything up. The way was set.
I enjoyed watching some of the highlights of the Texans.
The reign of Bill O'Brien sucking like no team has since last year's Jags. General Mills showing none of the upside that made him an intriguing option for the season as they fall into the abyss.
A lot of the comments are telling me that, not on that video because I haven't released that yet, but like overall, especially like the Here Comes the Boom video, that the Texans not a great team.
They have to ruin the tank and do it in hilariously
especially they've lost 8, drew 1-1-1.
All you had to do was not treat Lovie Smith
lost
like
11-1-1. Jesus.
Just keep David Culley around. Maybe then Lovie wouldn't have given you the proverbial.
Oh, they've won 2 at one point.
Destroys the ambitions of the executive branch with a 2-point conversion.
See, the Colts lost 11.
It's a season of drifting. We all knew it after Deshaun was traded. To build for the future, there will be a new quarterback in tow next year, and he'll be led by a damn good hire.
Spoiler alert: the Colts are on my list.
I hope to God it's for more than one season like the last.
And I'm glad I've just seen they're not that great. Here we go.
This team
the
as
Colts.
A legitimate Super Bowl contender before the year. That I find baffling. You expect me to believe a group that had been playing hot potato with rental QBs was a true contender? This year merely reinforced one thing. This team was built for Andrew Luck. Anyone else could never get them to their full potential. Matt Ryan was a great quarterback in his time. In Indy, he embraced a future of being made into glue. Slaughtered behind a regressing offensive line, no wide receivers, and a team in disarray. A career ended by benching. And then revived to make Frank Reich look like the villain before being benched again. With how bad they were lucky to even get 4 wins on the year.
So yeah, the Colts are on the list.
They burned Reich in effigy for a yes
Obviously, if you've watched the series, you know the Cowboys are on the list.
Past the high school level.
And when the third team, because we can only have 3 teams on the list, appear, I will let you know what that one is as well. It's not really a spoiler, because I said from episode 1 they're going to go on the list when I get to them.
Getting a new quarterback will fix things. And then keep Jeff Saturday around because he wants someone he can control. Is anyone really shocked at this potential outcome? The only thing I'm really surprised by is that Chris Ballard is still here. Figured he'd have been thrown into the pit that Frank Reich was. Sometimes you can tell when a move is instantly regretted.
The Titans. We have yet to come across the Titans.
And had to trade him away. It may have been awful before the phone was hung up. Browns are well-paid dynamo in Philly while the Titans yearn for a legit receiving option. The surface take would be to blame the Brown trade for their demise, but this goes much deeper. Their ascent to #1 seed in the AFC was a fluke. It always was. With the defense being forced to resort to Herculean efforts to get the offense to do anything,
5
with
and
the
2
dam
there,
was
same as the Chiefs, though,
infuriating
so
to witness. They were useless when
they don't
Derrick
seem
Henry couldn't
too
get anything
bad.
going, which was roughly 60%.
They were on a
of the time.
5-game winning streak, clearly.
Predictable scheming at best and jet sweeps to the fucking backup QB at worst. The most dangerous offensive drive Todd Downing had was when he was drunk. The GM John Robinson was fired in the middle of the season with how badly
7-3
he
then
managed their roster.
7-5.
There were dead men walking as it was. And then came the injuries.
So how would the Jags
good Lord,
in
if this team
the
wasn't
playoffs
shit to
with
watch
4
before,
reign?
watching a glorified USFL unit made it even worse.
7-7.
You don't lose 7 in a row simply by not trying. Effort has to be put into it. So with that, a cakewalk division was given away. Serious questions about the team need to be answered, and
Jags
Mike
pulled it
Vrabel is
around
trying to
there.
dig his way out of
8-8.
a bottomless pit.
And
Good luck,
7-9.
Grant Carthon. You'll need it. Welcome to football hell.
So the Titans weren't that bad then.
Future, too irrelevant to be legitimate contenders. An agonizing experience. Enjoy your stay. We knew something was wrong in week
Broncos.
1. Witnessing Nathaniel Hackett absolutely butcher concepts that an 8-year-old playing Madden would pick up on was a truly hilarious sight. Blowing it against the team you snagged their franchise quarterback from? We dismissed it as a blip on the radar. What it really signaled was a trend. The Broncos were an outright disaster on offense. The sheer regression of Russell Wilson being
Was that
killed by
because
an
then they had
O-line
a
that
lot
couldn't
of
block a
injuries in?
Twitter troll was merely one piece of the puzzle. Mr. Unlimited hacked up with an axe every week by his own actions and Hackett himself. Or maybe that was the injury report. Poorly prepped, poorly schemed, fighting each other on the sidelines, completely overmatched in most games. The Nathaniel Hackett special. This year proved he was merely brought in to try and woo Aaron Rodgers to Denver. And like he carried Hackett to relevance, Denver carried Nate to the top of a mountain to freeze to death. The first comparison I can
So you
make is to
can't,
the
those type
77
of balls can't be
Falcons.
on the quarterback.
That
though,
elite
you know,
defense
it's
being left to dry, it's not a good sign. They had to do something to fix Russell Wilson.
4 and 10.
They extended him before
Same
the
with the
season. They're
Chargers.
stuck on his agonizing ride. Getting a much more competent offensive mind in Sean Payton should help with that.
How many
How much that
games
depends.
do you play a season?
They had to
I
trade
know
another
we've
first and second round pick to get
watched
him
the
from New
video and
Orleans.
it's explained it, but I've completely
And they
forgot.
wanted Jim Harbaugh and D'Amico Ryans more, but it's a guess.
Is it
I
18?
guess. If Peyton turns into Kevin James on a Netflix special, we laugh at
16.
Broncos country for the next half decade. We fucking told you, Raiders. Didn't you learn from the last 15 times anyone tried to skin the Patriots alive? Unless you have Brady or Belichick in tow, it doesn't work. Everyone and their mother knew that Josh McDaniels is a total hack. We saw it in Denver a decade ago. Yet Mark Davis has daddy issues and wants to prove he can run his team into the ground like Al did 15 years
Like,
ago.
I did enjoy
It's not that the
watching. I
Raiders
just
were losing.
recorded it,
Regression
and
was
it won't be
expected
out
after
for a
last
week.
year's insane run.
But I did enjoy
It's
watching
how they were losing.
the Raiders highlights.
Humiliation at every
And
turn.
the main reason
3 blown leads of at least
I didn't
17
put them on the
points
list
on the season.
over the
An
Cowboys
offensive juggernaut that couldn't get past midfield against
is
the
because
Saints until late
they
in the
moved
fourth
to Las
quarter.
Vegas.
A
And I feel like that
2-7
just
start
becomes
to
a
the year is
tourist team.
somehow not the
It
low
doesn't. It
point.
won't have that
That
kind
would be
of
losing to
effect
Jeff
of the same
goddamn
fans in the same
Saturday in the
seats
first
every
game he
game.
coached in the NFL.
Could be
His
wrong,
only win
but
on the year. Or would that be blowing a final drive to Baker Mayfield? 2 days after he was claimed off waivers. All bad seasons need a scapegoat. And they've chosen Derek Carr for sacrifice.
Then obviously he had that
He's
clip
not
with
responsible for
the
how awful the defense was, but they can get Jimmy G
the
or Aaron
interception
Rodgers to do the same
with the
shit or
game
something.
clock done against the
He has blame
Patriots.
to
side.
share, so he will be exiled.
That's my favourite clip
But
I've seen
here's
so
the issue.
far.
Devontae Adams only came here because of Carr. If he goes, Adams may want out too. And they can't simply fire McDaniels. The Raiders have all their money tied up in the Bank of America loan. They're absolutely fucked. Josh McDaniels possibly running his starting QB and star wide receiver out of town again? You get what you fucking deserve, Las Vegas. The Carson Wentz roller coaster is quite comparable to what the commies
Or
went through this
Washington.
season. First, the rickety wooden box takes you down to a terrible start.
So they were called
So-called elite defense being
the Washington
caught up of
Redskins,
injuries
right?
and ineffective offensive play to a 1-4 start. Then you begin to
And
climb
obviously
to the top
they
of the
had to
hill.
change their name
Wentz being
to.
conveniently injured, so Taylor
I don't actually
Heineke
remember what
could
they're called
shine.
now.
Not the most talented player in the world, but the team rallied around him. Running
Commanders.
back to relevance in the fringes of playoff contention.
I like their
thanks to
uniform,
the
though. I do
10,000
like the
dogs
red.
he unleashes every game. Not to mention that defense coming back to full. But as they all say, what
It's
goes up
claret,
must come
which is
down.
kind of like my team, West
All
Ham's
hope must be
colours.
thrown into a black hole by the
With
hands
claret
of
and blue.
who the fuck else? Carson Wentz.
bit of white,
Heineke for him in a must-win
red,
game.
white, and blue.
What did you expect
America's
to happen?
colours.
Ron Rivera
West
saying
Ham
he knew
should
the
be
Commies
America's
could have been
team.
eliminated? Spoiler alert, they were. And Scott Turner was thrust upon the sword for whatever the hell this season was. Hopefully it's the end of the Dan Snyder era, but much dumber things have happened. Much dumber things. Don't worry if things don't go well in the offseason, Washington. Snyder can always exhume Sean Taylor's corpse for the 32nd time in some half-assed attempted tribute. It's too late for justice.
So these names
mean
nothing
two
to me.
decades ago. At least it can't get worse than it has.
Well, the Bears.
Anything I say that involves shitting on the Bears can't.
They were on the list, the Bears at one
all.
point, but obviously they got scribbled off for the Packers, who also no longer on the list.
The result of 2022. However, Bears fans have some signs that can lead them to a brighter tomorrow. Off the field, Ted Phillips is finally moving to that.
The Packers lost their place to the Colts.
Too late to salvage lost seasons, but perhaps Justin Fields can help for the future. Chicago finally let him utilize his feet. You know, his greatest strength as a player. It's too bad there isn't a team around him, and his arm is very raw, but you just hope he can get that year 3 Josh Allen jump and call it a day.
I think, especially with this, what do you guys call it, the off-season, I'm going to have to kind of look a bit more into the team, see what's kind of going on as well, especially after I've picked my favourite team. And that way, when we go into the 23 season, I am more prepared. I want to know everything that's going on. We're going to watch more rules videos. We're going to watch everything, so we're prepared.
Them the #1 pick in the draft. They can trade it for a premium haul to a QB-hungry team. The Bears have almost $100 million in cap space this offseason. They can make noise if they play their cards right. If you do, it'll go a long way towards people forgetting you traded your second rounder for Chase Claypool. Good luck. You've got work.
Doesn't sound good.
You may
the
finally
Lions.
be out of the abyss. Can't believe I'm saying that about Detroit, but we're here, aren't we? It wasn't looking good at all.
We're on the list for one episode.
A 1-6 record, despite one of the best offenses in football, was cause for alarm. Dan Campbell couldn't game plan accordingly.
Did they say that was a record?
Was cause for alarm. Dan Campbell couldn't game plan accordingly.
So 2.5 games.
Was a total shit show for huge chunks of the year. More than a few Lions fans were
calling
calling
for
Campbell's kneecaps
the,
delivered on a
game.
silver platter. So when you consider that, it's downright admirable that they were able to get their shit together not only from a defensive standpoint, but nearly make the damn playoffs themselves. Jared Goff may not be a placeholder after all. This past season was the best he's looked since 2018. Legitimate structure and talent emerging around every corner. A premium draft pick coming by means of the Rams. Next year could be something very special for Detroit.
Yeah, he has, complimentary of many of the teams, but the Lions,
that's how sad it's been. You can come
he
out,
said
Lions
some alright
fans.
things about them.
There's no Matt Patricia or Matt Millen to hurt you anymore. The future is something you can look forward to. Just don't get ahead of yourselves. Focus on the task at hand. Sometimes the end comes quickly and without warning.
Again, they were on the
list. A few teams in the past, but the death of many others is slow and prolonged. Green Bay's rise in 2022 was much more the latter than anything else.
The team that's yet to appear took the Packers' place, I believe.
Aaron Rodgers was declining rapidly. There was no chemistry between him and receivers. Joe Barry enjoyed vanilla too much for his own liking. The offense was the main problem, something the Packers had the luxury of deliberately avoiding. It feels like the beginning of the end, if we're being honest. When you start the season 4-8, you have to be near perfect to get to the postseason.
He's getting old though, isn't he, Rodgers? I remember seeing in the clip, he had like 443 touchdowns.
They were in a win and
so he must have been playing for 10
With
plus
that, the
years.
end may be closer than it appears. You merely delayed it, but the Aaron Rodgers question is popping up again. He may have played his last game as a Packer. Alan Lazard surely has, but it's either Aaron or Jordan Love. Both can no longer coexist in this timeline. You must choose. The completely unproven commodity or the guy who's been holding the team hostage for the past 2 seasons. Make your move, Green Bay. It's going to be painful either way. You cannot escape the pain. Even during an obvious rebuilding year, the Falcons cannot have even a modicum of joy.
The Falcons, I believe they were the first team
losing
we checked
games
out.
In the most humiliating ways possible. Thought you were done blowing leads? Not in week 1 against the Saints.
No,
you
that would have
aren't.
been the Cardinals, wouldn't it? The
Potentially
Arizona
overcoming
Cardinals.
the dreaded 28-3
Falcons
curse.
were they ever on the list?
Maybe if Marcus
They
Mariota
weren't.
didn't throw it
We'd
right
never
to
put the
Jalen
Falcons on the
Ramsey.
list.
What about
The
a
Cardinals
big comeback
were.
against Tampa Bay undone by Grady Jarrett touching Tom Brady? Why not add to a big fumble by the Chargers by fumbling on the same damn play to cost them the game? Interceptions in the red zone with less than 2 minutes left by Mariota? Fumbles by Drake London on critical 4th down receptions? Oh, it was a season of pain when it shouldn't have been anywhere near.
I did just see, actually, and there's a question I asked in one of the videos that hasn't come out yet, obviously, but I'll ask it again now. If you intercepted a ball on, like, let's say the 2-yard line, and then you get tackled in your own end zone, does that still become a safety? It sounds quite harsh because you've intercepted the ball, but then you've been hit instantly. Like, I'd like to know that rule, please. If you can let me, someone can let me write down in the comments. But
I want to beat the shit out of the kid, but you don't.
Sounds a bit harsh.
We know that look. Arthur gave it nearly every week. If this team had any ability to finish, they'd have won at least 10 games. Dead serious about that. Perhaps with actual talent on the roster and managing to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts for once, things may change. It's Desmond Ritter season. Mariota just
is he doing the teams in order of?
I truly don't blame him for it. Get out before the executioner comes.
Like their ranking at the end of the season.
Everyone and their mother knew that the Panthers were going to be terrible this season. It was written in stone the moment they chose to keep Matt Rule around. They were dead men walking from the
from worst to best, obviously.
Group that couldn't come close to anything resembling success.
I guess we'll find out if the Eagles and the
team
Chiefs are
rights. All you can do is swallow the pill that should have been done months earlier. The year was as lost as Baker Mayfield in this offense. Even worse is that the team managed to respond to Steve Wilkes' interim coach. This was in spite of trading their best weapon in Christian McCaffrey.
See, I did used to kick conversions.
Their division was if they cut
not ever in game. I was never allowed to do it in game. But in training, I used to kick them all the time. They weren't hard.
The NFC South was that bad.
So like, I don't see when you've seen misses like that.
If they didn't blow it against Tampa Bay, but we can have nothing good in this world, so they must die. Steve Wilkes apparently can't either. David Tepper went after the sexy hire in Frank Reich, which in itself should be a massive upgrade over Rule. However, there are too many questions that need to be answered in the offseason with not enough resources to do them all. This franchise is at a crossroads. They must choose their course carefully. Failing again will lead to their doom. No matter how long you try to kick the can down the road, no matter what's done.
My favourite logo, I want to say, Saints. We haven't checked them out yet in the series,
you must pay the piper.
From seeing them play against the teams we have been checking,
he expects his due.
I think they've got my favourite logo.
Orleans, you've run out of options.
I like the gold as well.
Of your once proud team has led to an aging, injury-prone outfit with more questions than answers. They still wait for the successor to Breeze with surprisingly decent results from Andy Dalton. What's to occur with Alvin Kamara's assault case is still uncertain, let alone his future with the team. Michael Thomas went from one of the best receivers in the game to one that can't stay on the field. And his injury nightmare will more than likely never leave him the same. The bodies of the fallen lie aplenty. A lost identity featuring a coach who's merely a stand-in for what once was there. Nothing's changing on that front because they know the truth. The Saints are done. This is no longer a team that will threaten for Super Bowls and division titles, but one that must embrace an arduous rebuild. Consistently kicking the can down the road in the form of cap restructures have made them unable to properly upgrade. Any new QB brought in would merely be a band-aid to a gangrenous wound. It's been a long time coming. With Sean Payton being traded for draft picks, the writing is on the wall.
Wasn't there quarterback?
Should have featured so much more, but
I swear it's a name I remember.
Bitter defeat. It's been almost 15 years since New Orleans won their ring.
Drew Brees.
That's an eternity in the football world. Better hold on to that memory tight. The abyss is much darker than you remember it to be. The only embrace will be rubble crushing your spirit and collapses against Tom goddamn Brady. And to add insult to injury, the Eagles have your first-round pick.
So there's players that, even over the UK, we know, this game ain't that popular over here. But there's names that always come through. Mainly callbacks, really. Hence how, obviously, you know about Tom Brady. I know about Dak Prescott, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers.
Hater and critic of this team over the past half-decade was vindicated. It played out like a
I didn't know Josh Allen, but he is one of my favorite callbacks we've seen on the
for all of us to say we fucking
series so far.
Kyler openly rebelling against the men that brought him into this train wreck on a weekly basis. And when he was done calling those above him utterly useless, he tore his ACL
Cam
on a
Newton.
non-contact play. He's getting his back, so don't worry about him. The defense didn't do much better in response. Very shocking indeed. Kingsbury and Kime were sent packing for a long vacation to Thailand. And while we all saw this car crash coming from a mile away, Arizona is in complete chaos.
Ben
They're locked into a vision that was terrible from the moment Dink was put to paint. Wasted potential and millions of dollars everywhere you look.
Patrick Mahomes, obviously. That was more. Actually, that's more from. I didn't hear his name until people commented.
J.J. Watt and A.J. Green died for this. The Cardinals have always been irrelevant. Run by a failure of an owner raised by a failure before him. It's why they're in the fucking mess they're in to begin with. Good riddance. It all went wrong from the opening game of the season. Watching as Buffalo came into so-called Rams' house and bitch-slapped them around for 60 consecutive minutes. Going all in to hypothetically buy a ring has its consequences.
We haven't checked out the Rams yet.
They were on full display this season.
I'm pretty certain every time I see the Rams, I say the Chargers because they've got kind of similar helmet. I think.
It all leads to a year of undistilled horror. So much for running it back when you can't even find anyone to run the damn offense consistently. Ooh. Let alone an offensive line that could actually block.
Was that 2? Wait, it didn't say 2 and 11. Was it?
They have a built-in excuse for it all. Matthew Stafford may have suffered career-ending injuries. Who cares? We have a ring. Sean McVay is having doubts as to his desire to coach this group anymore. Just look at the ring. The entire core may be fucking off to retirement, free agency, and so on. Kiss the ring, bitch. It's a cop-out to every single legitimate issue.
3 and 8.
You may have succeeded in fucking them picks, but the picks fucked back.
Was it 3 and 11?
Detroit will pick them up on the rebound.
No, 5
Ring
and 11.
is the ultimate goal of a franchise, but you'd think you put up more of a fight in trying to maintain supremacy. Oh, what the hell do I know? I'll just laugh as the Rams fall into a hell of their own construction.
His first one with the Jets. Snap is dropped. Braden Mann's in trouble.
So obviously that's all the teams that weren't. I can't even speak. That was a long video, but I enjoyed it. Those obviously the team that weren't in the playoffs. So the team that is on my list were in the playoffs, and if you've watched the other episodes, you would know it's going to be the Jags. The Jags are a team I've said very likely to be on my list because I can go 2 hours up the road and watch them whenever they come over here. I like that a lot. You know, it wasn't as informative as I was expecting, but it was nice to kind of see that a lot of the teams seem equal. They all seem equal as shit, I've got to be honest. So I quite like that. I quite like you never know what you're going to get, which is what I'm really looking forward to the 2023 season, which I have absolutely no idea when that begins. I believe it's like, is it September or October? So we've got quite a long way to go. But hey, we've got lots of videos planned before then, so I'm looking forward to it. Let me know in the comments your favourite team, and while you're down there, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. Hope you all have a great day. Peace.